For those who do not know me, my name is Stacy, and I am a nonprofit consultant. I serve small to mid-sized nonprofit organizations who want to increase their impact and revenue generation potential. And we do this at Savage Coaching and Consulting through strategic planning and capacity building. So if that is something your nonprofit needs, definitely stick around and definitely reach out to me to see how we can work together or how I can help your organization. So yeah. For those who know me and those who have been following me, yesterday was the only day in March that I did not come live so far. And man, it was rough. I think my body is still hurting. Sitting down hurts. I messed around and took a dance class and went hiking, so my body is just saying, give it a rest, Stacy. And so today we're going to talk about the fastest way to raise money as a nonprofit organization. And Let's let me make sure I am letting everybody know that I am live because I didn't send any emails about it this morning either. Yeah, let me do that. Followers. Hey, if you're catching me live, just comment, let me know you're here because I can't see who is here. And all right, so I'm tagging a few people, and in the background, I'll send emails out to let people know that I am here because then this was not my day is going. Like I said yesterday, I did too much dance class, hiking. My back is not feeling it. My body is not feeling it. I just want to go to bed. But we're here. We're here. We're going to talk about like the number one excuse that I've been hearing from nonprofits since that's been quite some time, where some nonprofit leaders are just saying, we just need to go get a grant. Right. Okay. Like the grant is a fix all be all. Like it's not. Okay. So um we can't launch this program until we get a grant, right? We're waiting to hear back from a grant application. We don't have money for operations, but we're applying for grants, right? And my response most of the time is essentially, I think these nonprofits or organizations need to understand that is the slowest way to raise money. When I say the slowest way to raise money, because think about it, when you submit a grant application, it has a time, like it tells you, oh, you'll hear back from us in September 2025, right? September comes through and there's just no response, right? And you reach out, they're like, oh, we've had a delay, like give us until December. So imagine you were banking on that money and it's not coming through, and then you're just panicking. That's why I'm saying that grants, it's like the slowest way to raise money. So why are you doing that to yourself? Right? Why are you doing that to your nonprofit organization? There's so many ways for your nonprofit organization to start generating income, and grants is not it. Okay, grants is not it. Grants is a great way to have some sort of revenue coming into your nonprofit, because that's the thing. Should be part of your revenue strategy, but it should not be the end all be all. So I want you to realize that waiting for grants is not going to help you grow. There are so many different ways to do it. And like I said, you see me looking around, I am sending emails out. So don't mind me. I am doing a multitasking. Usually I can't do that. So I'm glad I can talk and do this at the same time. The other day when I was trying to do this and talk at the same time, I ended up not sending the email because I don't know why I got so distracted. But one thing I want you to like keep in mind is that grants is not a good way for you to raise the money you're trying to raise. If you have like a funding shortage and that's something you're trying to focus on, I don't think grants is the way to go. Grants is definitely not the way to go. Because then there are other ways like seeking sponsorships and different things that your organization can be looking into that you're not tapping into, which is a big problem. Like you need to start tapping into like other ways to generate revenue because then grants is not the only thing you can do. Okay. So I done sent the emails. Yeah, I did it. So let's break down why relying on grants specifically can keep your nonprofit. Let me make sure I'm recording. Oh, I am. Yeah, let's talk about why relying on grants can keep your nonprofit in a stage of financial instability, which is something that a lot of nonprofits are experiencing, right? And how some nonprofits can raise money quickly and what you can start doing right now to bring more funding. And one thing I will say I created today to make sure that nonprofits like yours are able to start generating income and revenue in a different way that will help your nonprofit organization is through like I created a guide, a strategic partnership and sponsorship guide to help you determine the readiness, because that's the other thing. You need to determine whether you are you are ready to seek sponsorships and partnerships, right? And if you're not, then you're wasting your time. So I want you to take some time. I have a free guide that I created for you literally today to help you assess whether or not you have sponsorship and partnership readiness. So I'm going to put the guide in the comments right now before we keep going. So it's called the Strategic Sponsorship and Partnership Guide. Told y'all I can't do that. Let me see, sponsorship. Partnership guide. Again, if you're coming in, please hashtag live. So the guide is in the comments. Now, one thing I want you to do with this guide is I want you to assess the readiness of your nonprofit organization to see if you're going in the right direction and if you're taking if you're missing something before you start making these asks for sponsorships and partnerships, okay? So as we break down the reasons why your nonprofit stays in financial instability, and things you can do to raise money quickly, I'm going to say go ahead and download this to see if you're even ready to go in that direction, right? And what you can start doing right now to start bringing in funding. So one thing I want to be clear about is grants are not bad. Okay, grants are not a bad thing, but they are not a funding strategy. Okay, grants are not a funding strategy, and organizations like nonprofit organizations should not solely depend on grants to secure funding for their nonprofit organizations. So the reality of the whole thing is that only 20% of grant applications, hey Ricky, 20% of grant applications actually get funded, right? So you have to like tell yourself or ask yourself, is it even worth it? Oh, that's my sister, my bad. So you have to ask yourself if it's worth actually, oh my God, let me text my sister, y'all, because she's calling nonstop. And here we go. I text her. She should be okay. All right, so yeah, only 20% of grant applications actually get funded. So if you are banking on getting these grants approved or these applications approved, it puts you in a situation where your level of financial security is stalled because you're depending on these grants, right? The average wait time for an application award is about 6 to 12 months. That's the average wait time. And that doesn't mean that all of them respond. Sometimes like you're waiting on it and sure that you're going to get it, but you never hear back, right? And over 60% of nonprofit organizations that rely heavily on grants, they experience financial instability because they're always in a situation where they are stressing about how they're going to get their next grant or how they're going to pay somebody on staff, which is not a good place to be in. Right? What that means is that if grants are your primary strategy, you are competing with thousands of other organizations for the same money, right? You're waiting months to find out if you even got the funding, right? you're risking your entire nonprofit's financial future in this case on something you can't control. Because then one thing I want you to understand is you can't control whether or not you get the grant. I see so many nonprofit organizations talking about, oh, this grant writer didn't get us the grant. No, the funder, the reviewers didn't approve your grant. The grant writer, if they did a good job, then all you got to do is sit back and wait because it's not in your control. You have to relinquish control for that specific part of the application because you do not control whether or not the grant reviewers or the funder decide to give you the grant, right? Now, a real world example that I want to share with you is that I was working with a nonprofit and they built an entire program around one large grant, right? They received funding for 2 years and got really comfortable, but when the grant ended, they had nothing in place to replace the money essentially. So there were layoffs that had to happen, or services had to be cut off. Outreach did not happen in the same capacity because they didn't have the funding to pay outreach staff. So some people had to be let go, or some people's hours had to be reduced, or people had to start looking for other work. They started scrambling for funds to pay these individuals. And that's what happened when you treat grants like a financial plan instead of a bonus, because grants should be seen as a bonus, okay, instead of a financial security blanket, right? Because you have to stop waiting and start creating opportunities for money to come in now. And grants is not it. Like, remember what I said, it takes about 6 to 12 months for grants to be awarded. So you have to start creating these opportunities for money to come in now. And one way that you can do this is really by seeking sponsorship and strategic partnership opportunities. And if you weren't here at the beginning, I created a free strategic sponsorship and partnership guide this morning that you can download to assess your readiness level. So go ahead and download it in the comments. The link is in the comments if you're on Facebook. If you're on Instagram, it is on my Stan store, so you can click the link in the bio. So I want you to stop really waiting and creating the opportunities for money to come in now for your nonprofit organization, okay? Now, the fastest way for your nonprofit organization to raise money right now, that's another question that we need to talk about. Well, that's another thing that needs to be addressed, right? You need to start leveraging different things, and I've been talking about this for days. You need to start leveraging monthly giving programs, right? Nonprofits that implement monthly donor programs, they can increase their revenue by 30% or more. And the reason for that is, imagine, like, just do the numbers. The numbers won't lie. If you have 20 people that are donating and they can only donate $10 per month, $10 per month, 12 months, that's $120. Like, multiply by 20 people, like, you can see the consistency that's happening here in the revenue and the amount that you can generate. So let's just say it's more than 10, you have more people within the monthly giving program that can also assist you in a way that, like, provides predictable income for your nonprofit organization. So you have to start leveraging different ways and different programs. There's also something we talked about in my masterclass, a membership model. Like, it's also a monthly membership, right? But you're offering something of value to your stakeholders for this membership so they can pay this membership. So you have to be creative in ways to generate revenue for your organization so you're not chasing one-time donations, right? You're focusing on recurring donors who give small amounts each month. And the membership model or monthly giving program models are one way that you can do that. So $25 a month commitment, 100 donors, that's $30,000 per year. And the one thing I say with the monthly giving programs, you can phrase it in a way that it is a membership model and you're offering something of value so people can feel like they're getting something back. Hey, Loonies, so they're getting something back for that commitment. So let's say, I know in the last masterclass, there was someone who had an arts and education nonprofit organization. So the membership model for that organization, what it could look like is that every month they release some type of e-magazine and include something of value. Like, they talk about people in the arts, provide education on art. and also include some type of template that people can download, maybe a coloring page. As adults, we like coloring, right? A coloring page or anything that they can use within that e-magazine. So provide something for that $25 per month commitment, right? The other thing that you can do to raise money right now is sell something of value. Nonprofits that generate earned revenue are 40% more financially stable than those that don't. The reason for that is that they don't depend on grants solely to fund their program, right? They're offering workshops, paid trainings, membership-based access to your resources. So let's say your resources, you provide more than just e-magazines, right? Like, let's say financial literacy classes or services, and the membership model, people can pay the membership to have access to a professional that does these things every month, whatever it is. Because then I'm trying to think right now of what service people would need monthly or a membership level. Because maybe membership level they can get if it's a CPA that you have on staff, right? The CPA could provide advice to that person, and they can schedule 30-minute consultations with that CPA or whatnot that's on the membership. So they may pay a membership and they have access year round, right? And that person can also assist with tax application or answer tax questions. So you have to think creatively of how you can do these things. Now, another example of there's a nonprofit, it can start charging for their leadership development course instead of offering them for free, right? Within a year, you can generate about $50,000 in unrestricted fund. Now, you have to think about how you're going to offer it for a fee and still like provide it free of charge to people in your community. So that's something that you and your leadership have to sit down and see how you can work that out, because you don't have to offer everything for free. You have to think of who in the general population in your demographic area that you can offer it for a fee. Okay, if you serve youth, maybe these services you can also offer to adult for a fee. Okay, and the youth still get it for free. Now, other things you can explore, which the guide in the comments is for the free strategic sponsorship and partnership guide. Corporate sponsorships and partnerships. Companies donated over $21 billion they donate $21 billion annually to nonprofits. So it is in your best interest to start getting ready for corporate sponsorships and partnerships as a nonprofit organization, because the money is there for nonprofits, right? You just have to tap into it. So figure out if your organization is ready to start seeking corporate sponsorship and start building strategic partnerships. Get the free guide in the comments or click my stand store and get it there, right? And what I want you to do is don't just they're not going to give to nonprofits just because you ask, right? And your organization has to offer some type of value, which is really important. So you have to stop sending generic sponsorship letters. I see too many people trying to hire me to write sponsorship letters for them. That's not how it works. It needs to have some oomph into it. It needs to be more creative. It needs to be more compelling. You need to start showing businesses how supporting your nonprofit can benefit their brand, right? If you're not doing that, they're not going to want to. They're not going to feel like they need to support your nonprofit organization. So I'm going to need you to stop sending generic sponsorship letters and support request letters. There's a reason most of the templates that I give you, I leave room for you to write in information about your organization, some compelling information about your organization. Because in any template that you have, it's very important that you write something very compelling in there so it can feel unique. So whomever is reading it can feel some type of connection. But also the one thing in this guide, I tell you exactly how to start getting ready. So don't forget to download that free guide that I put in the comments if you're watching on Facebook. And again, if you're on Instagram, go on my stand store. I just put that up in my stand store. It is a free strategic sponsorship and partnership guide, because the goal here is for you to start raising money right now and stop waiting for these grants to be awarded. because it takes about 6 to 12 months for grants to be awarded. Even if you're a new organization, if you start doing these things and start working on this, you can start generating revenue right now because you do not have to wait 3 years to be grant ready to start getting funded. You have to start getting some work done and increase your visibility so you have more people that want to support you, but the work needs to start right away. Just like a business, are you going to sit on a business for 3 years before you start generating revenue? No. So for your nonprofit, it shouldn't be any different. Start working right now. Okay, I want you to stop thinking like a charity. Stop thinking you have to beg people for money or ask people for money. If they're not giving it to you, then you know what? You need to increase your visibility, make sure people know what you do, like start gathering data that can support that you are actually making an impact in the communities you're serving. Because if you're struggling to raise money, the one thing you have in common with all these other nonprofits that are struggling to raise money, you're thinking like a charity instead of a business. And that's the one thing, that's the one limitation that's going to cause you to always have a problem with money. Because if as an individual, you're thinking like a charity case, it's the same thing for your nonprofit organization. You need to start treating your nonprofit organization like the business that it is. Because if you want to have a financially stable nonprofit organization, you need to think and operate like a business because whether you like it or not, most nonprofits that are successful, they operate like businesses. They understand the value of making sure their nonprofits have systems, clear systems, and they're operating sustainably, right? So if your nonprofit can diversify its revenue sources, it can actually grow 2 times faster than those that rely only on grants or like the generic fundraising activities. And donors will be more likely to give when they see financial stability and growth with your nonprofit organization. That goes just as well as funders, right? I sit on a grant review panel, and one instruction that was given to us is if it does not look like a financially stable nonprofit organization or they can't explain what they're doing with their money, reject. Okay, so like they're not playing. Like if your nonprofit looks like it doesn't have its act together, reject. Okay, so your nonprofit cannot always be in survival mode because people will hesitate to donate because they see instability. So if you're out here asking this person and that person for $2, $5, and they don't see any work, like you're not focusing on working on your visibility. Like the one things you need to focus on, you're not focusing on, but you want people to care. Like you're supposed to be working on building your recognition and visibility. The rest will come. If you focus on what matters, the rest will come, I promise you. Like outreach, recognition, visibility, relationships, these are all things that are going to lead to the income coming, the revenue coming, but you have to take the actions. You have to take the intentional action that will lead there. Okay. So I want you to think about it. Would you invest in a business that does not have a solid revenue plan? Like if somebody came to you and told you they have a business they want to launch, would you invest in them? If you ask them, okay, how are you going to sustain the business and stuff? Do you have a plan? And they tell you no, chances are you're not going to invest in that business, right? So why would donors and sponsors invest in nonprofits that do not have a plan, a strategic plan, a revenue plan, operation plan, if they do not have any of that together, right? So I want you to think about that. And I want you to also be clear that you need to start shifting from charity thinking to sustainable funding. Okay, so if that's a direction you want to go, first, I want you to download the free strategic sponsorship and partnership guide that I created this morning because I want you to start assessing if you have the readiness to start seeking revenue, right? And not wait for grant readiness, because grant readiness is one, but you also have to get yourself ready to start asking for sponsorship and partnerships. So definitely do that because the biggest mistake your nonprofit can make is waiting on grants to survive because that's not going to help you take your nonprofit to the next level. And the other thing I want you to realize is that the fastest way to raise money that I mentioned on this live, monthly giving, selling value-based services, corporate sponsorships. Okay. And the only way that you'll be able to sustain your nonprofit long term is to stop thinking like a charity and start operating like a business. Because if you want your organization to be sustainable and actually thrive, you can't wait for the money to come to you. You have to create opportunities for revenue to flow in consistently. Okay, so definitely if you have any questions, drop them in the comments of wherever you're watching. And if you need any personalized support for me to help you generate a plan that's unique to your nonprofit organization, please schedule a strategy session with me. The link is it's in my stand store. I'll also drop it in the comments. But anyways, we can also work on creating a step-by-step revenue plan in a strategy session. So it is in your best interest, like in your nonprofit's best interest. If you want me to assist you with that and you know you don't have a plan, schedule a strategy session and then we'll start working on that. But anyways, I hope everybody is having an amazing weekend and we'll talk soon. Bye.